Oftentimes in life, it's easy for us to get caught up in our goals and the things that we're trying to accomplish. Maybe you want to be a millionaire, or maybe you want to be at the top of your field, the top of your career. Maybe you want to get a super attractive, super hot girlfriend. Maybe you want to be a really great athlete, etc. And you lie in bed every single night before you go to sleep thinking to yourself, I have to be the best. Especially nowadays because of social media, that pressure to succeed as well as the comparison is on a completely different level. Not just who we compare ourselves to, but also who society and other people compare us to. Because let's be honest, right? Social media, for example, globalized the dating market. You're actively competing against guys on her social media feed, in her ethos, and that affects her perception of what's out there. It's not like 2, 3, 4 decades ago where you'd just be competing against people in her community. Back then you might have been competing against her coworkers or the people she saw at church or the library or grocery stores, etc. Back then, that really cute 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 girl in your town in the middle of nowhere, California, she couldn't see her options over in, let's say, New York. Now that's definitely not the case. Now we're all in competition. We're all comparing against each other. That's why the pressure is so high. We know on an intrinsic level, you either become a winner or you get left behind. Like everybody knows the quote, comparison is the thief of joy, but there's also duality in everything. Comparison can definitely steal your happiness, but at the same time, comparison also breeds competitiveness, which is a necessary component to success. And as guys, we're naturally competitive, right? Like even as kids, when you think about it, when you were in like PE class, every single guy would just get super competitive trying to impress the other girls. Whether you were running the mile, doing push-ups, everybody wanted to be first. Everyone wanted to be the best. It's just the way we're wired. So when you combine that with modern society and the way things work, things are more competitive than ever. The same things you want in life, so does the guy next to you, and it's something we all feel intrinsically. Like especially if you're in your 20s to 30s, the pressure to win, the pressure to make it, you feel it almost every day. It's almost suffocating. There's not a second that goes by without you thinking that you have to win, that you have to succeed. And you could try to drown it out. Maybe try to distract yourself with video games or partying or drinking or doing drugs or chasing girls or whatever. And you add that on top of everything going on in the world, from inflation to AI to geopolitical tensions to tragedies, whatever, right? The list can go on and on. There's a lot of things to think about or try to juggle while you're trying to make your way to the top. But even so, despite all of that, despite all the pressures of the world, the anxieties, everything going on in the world, despite everything, you have to remember you gotta enjoy the climb. Try to at least enjoy the ride. Don't forget to try to have fun. You gotta enjoy that view as you're ascending the mountain, and it's something that we've all lost and forgotten. Again, it's real easy, especially nowadays, to forget how important it is to try to have fun along the way. And yeah, it's like, of course, you're not going to be a kid forever, and life isn't about having fun as you get older. You got responsibilities and shit to do, etc. But it's not like that means you're supposed to be miserable all the time. And by the way, when I say don't forget to have fun, I don't mean that in the sense where you should take days to go party, do drugs, and engage in degeneracy. But I mean that in the sense where you should try to find reasons to smile. Like try to find moments to enjoy, because those are the ones that last forever. And it doesn't matter what your situation is or what you're going through. It's about the people you're around and your perspective. Everything is perspective. And by the way, the most important aspect of what I'm saying is that fun, those moments you enjoy, is actually what translates to positive energy. And that positive energy is what becomes momentum on your climb to the top. And it's probably one of the most underrated but important aspects of sustaining your journey to the top. Like if it's nothing but dreadful the entire way, sooner but later you're going to break. And if you really think about it, things tend to work out way better when you're having fun, if you can find a reason to smile. Like the ability to laugh at a shit situation even when you're losing, that feeling in that moment, that right there is the key. That feeling right there is the key to you making your greatest comeback, even when you're at your lowest, even when you think that you have nothing left to give. There was a time where I used to love playing basketball, and it was actually one of the most memorable experiences of my college years. It was playing intramural basketball, and that was the most fun that I ever had. And I remember there was one semester in particular where we made it to the finals and we were not supposed to. We ended up winning 2 playoff games against teams that were way better than us. And in sports, when you're competing, you can feel when you're outmatched. And it was one of those situations where we were having so much fun where we played way above our ceiling. Normally when you're playing sports, when you're competing, you operate at best at maybe 80 to 90% capacity. Nobody ever goes at 100%. The only time you reach 100% of your capabilities is when you're genuinely in the zone. And it's funny because all the other teams were either like fraternities or groups of friends that were really close or like ran rec games together. However, the team that I was on was just made up of a bunch of random people that didn't really have friends but wanted to play basketball. And as the semester went on, as the season went on, as we played games together, we started bonding a lot and we were having a lot of fun. And the semifinal game we played, we won by barely 2 points, 2 free throws that won the game. And looking back on it, it definitely was a fluke win. If that game played out 100 times, we would probably lose 97, 98 of the games. And after that game, even though nobody said it, you can kind of feel like, yeah, we definitely peaked. Like, we can't play better than what we just did. We kind of went into that final game like, all right, guys, like, let's try our best. And if we were playing at like 110% for that semifinal game, we were probably playing at like 80, 85 at best for the final game. And bro, I remember the first quarter of that final game, I was like 0-4 in threes and I smoked 2 layups. And the only point I had was from 1 free throw that entire quarter, and we were down like 23, 24 points. And during that halftime huddle, I wasn't even listening. I was just like in my feelings, beating myself up the entire time. You know when you have a bad game and you feel like trash and you're calling yourself trash the entire time? I was like, damn, we made it all the way here. After the high of that previous game, you're gonna let your team down. Can't even make a single shot in the final game when it matters the most. And to be honest, we were all kind of playing bad. Like, we definitely peaked that semifinal game and everyone could kind of feel it. So yeah, basically I was feeling like shit. I was in my feelings. I had my head down. I wasn't even listening to the huddle. And then my teammate came over to me and then he whispered airball in my ear because I airballed one of the threes really badly. And then I ended up laughing a bit and he said, bro, relax. We're supposed to be having fun. And all of a sudden, just like that, I stopped being so tense, which was really what was making me play bad. So halftime's over, the second quarter begins, and the very first shot that I took the second quarter, I made it. As a matter of fact, it was one of those shots where you're like, oh, there's no shot that this isn't going in. And even though we still ended up losing, I ended up playing that second half way better. It felt way more free. And I guess it was kind of a reminder to always try to have fun, even if you're losing. Not to accept losing, but to try to find a reason to laugh and smile and enjoy the moment. Like, damn, even though this is kind of a shit situation or I'm performing like ass right now, sometimes the best thing to do in that situation is just to ease up. Just try to relax, stop being so tense, and try to have fun. Whatever it is that you're going through, maybe you failed a test, maybe you got rejected by a girl, maybe your girl broke up with you, maybe you didn't get into the school that you want, maybe you got fired from a job. If you can find a reason in that moment to smile, to laugh, to have fun, that right there I truly believe is the key to everything. Because being able to do that in those moments, having fun, enjoying the climb, enjoying the journey, that's what's actually going to translate to positive energy. And that positive energy is what's going to translate to momentum, and it's going to get you a lot closer to your goals. So yeah, I guess the same way my teammate was to me in that huddle, in that moment, I'm trying to get those feelings to you. So yeah, just try to relax, try to find reasons to have fun, try to find reasons to smile. You know, in spite of all your goals or aspirations, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be miserable until you get there. You're supposed to be enjoying this because it ain't worth it otherwise. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Make sure you check the Patreon if you want more content, more reactions, etc. Follow the IG, you guys can message me on there. And if you want to talk to me one-on-one, feel free to book a call. With that said, make sure you stay true. Talk to you guys real soon, and I'll see you at the top. Peace.